Okay, so wood sign time. Something I actually know how to do, or I kind of know how to do. And so I'm just going to show you very quickly how we do this. So let the hand do the talking, right? Okay, so what you do, get yourself a piece of wood. Don't have to buy an expensive piece of wood. If you're making a routed wood sign, this is just an old piece of oak that I had. You can buy wood, any home improvement store, lumber yard. You can also find wood in pallets. Pallet wood works well for signs. You don't need something really, really thick, although you can if you like, but something thin will also do. You can just find wood just about anywhere, so just experiment. So the techniques are the same no matter what you use or what you're doing. So first of all, piece of wood, first thing you got to have. I've also seen people use Trex, the synthetic decking material. I've seen people use PVC fascia type stuff, material. You can use plywood. There's a lot of different things. You just experiment, but if you're using it outdoors, just keep that in mind for moisture purposes. Just don't forget about that. Okay, so number one, we have our piece of wood. Number two, you'll need a piece of tracing paper. Now, tracing paper, this is what I call tracing paper. It's kind of like old carbon paper, same type of idea. And you can use, I've got a big, huge sheet of this, and I just pull off what I need, but you can use this many, many, many times. Just keep using it, and over. So you lay that down, and then you lay your, what I'm about to show you next on top of that, and you basically just trace it out. The next thing you need is your whatever you're going to use for a design. Now what I have done here is I have printed this out. This is a legal sheet of paper, but you don't have to do it that way. Just seems easier for this name that I'm doing across. And so I use Microsoft Office Word, and I take, it's a font called Freestyle, and then I go into the font options, and I change it to outline. So it's not the whole black, it's just the outline. To me, it makes it easier to trace because I can kind of see where I've traced when I start tracing it onto the tracing paper, which will transfer onto the wood, which will give us an idea of where we need to route to. And so, and this is about 340 size font. You just have to adjust it to your piece of wood, somewhat of a trial and error, but once you do it a few times, you'll kind of get the hang of it. So basically, that's the materials that you need as far as what we'll call the software items. So you need a piece of wood, you need the tracing paper, carbon paper, and you need this, the actual thing of whatever you're going to do. Okay, so be right back and we'll keep going. Okay, so the next thing you need for the hardware, if we're looking at it like that, next thing I use is a random orbital sander. You can use this at the beginning to kind of smooth your wood up. I usually use 150. This is like hook and loop or Velcro, whatever you like to call it. Sandpaper that I use to go over it. And like I said, you can go over it initially. First to just kind of smooth that, depending on how nice it is. Sometimes you don't even have to do that. Okay, and then you'll need this again. I'll show you this later when we get to the painting portion of this. This will be the second part of this. But the primary tool that you'll be using as far as hardware is this, and I use a fixed based router. You can also use a plunge router, the same thing. So but basically what I have here is a V-grooved or V-tipped carbide tip router bit. Now you can use high-speed steel. It's just going to wear out more quickly. And I say quickly, you could probably do 30 or 40 of these before it would actually start to wear out. They are considerably cheaper, but if you're going to do it any number, just go ahead and buy the good one. It'll be well worth your effort. And so this is the hardware. I use this to actually carve the letters out as you move across, and I'll show you that in just a moment as you cut it out. So after you've done your design, laid it out on the wood, traced it out, got it all laid out, then you'll use this to actually cut it out. Now you can do this with hand tools, with chisel, with a good old chisel, chisel and hammer. It's going to take you a while, but you can do it. A lot of people do it that way. And sometimes you have to actually use that for cleanup work, but I'll show you that when we get finished. So that's the hardware portion. So I'm just tracing it out. It's just like a sandwich. You got your wood. Sorry, you got your wood, your carbon paper, your tracing paper, and then you have your paper, and you just trace it out. Okay, so this is it. This is what it'll look like, and I added the, so it's the, and then you'll see the letters, and it's, you know, with pencil, and it's kind of hard to see. And so what you see here is this is the finished product. This is after I traced it out, the carbon paper under it, tracing paper, whatever, and then you see that I traced it out. It's a little faint if you need to go back and do it, but you shouldn't have to. And this is basically what you'll get once you're finished. And again, you don't want to do it in any kind of permanent marker or anything like that, because it's going to be through things. So the best thing to use is a pencil that I have found. That way you don't force through the paper. Pencil seems to be the best. Works for me, and it works well. And so next thing that we'll do is actually cut it out. So stand by. Okay, so first off, safety glasses. Gotta wear them. Routers throw stuff everywhere. So now we're at the point of router. Okay, so what you have to do is you actually have to set your depth of how much the blade sticks out. And on this router, the way you do that is you move this up and down, this piece here, and then on the back it's got this little screw, and you unloosen it and take it up and down. You're just going to have to use the trial and error to see how deep you want it. You'll be surprised how shallow the depth will be. You don't want to go too deep. You don't want to go any wider than what your letters are, because what you'll find is it'll actually start to run together, and you'll lose the letters because they'll all run together. So trial and error. Go on the light side, because you can always make it deeper, but you can't take it back once you cut it, so you basically will be starting over. So I'm going to start the router. Hopefully this will be picking up, and we'll see how it goes.